Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This report is on your TNA spoilers and this past Thursday's event and some wrestling news for TNA. Reported on June 16th. Announced the following: Matt and Jeff Hardy make up one of the most recognizable tag teams of all time, and individually they have climbed to the top of the professional wrestling. Now at the upcoming Impact tapings in late July, early August, New York City, the brothers will reunite. ImpactWrestling.com has learned that TNA has come to terms with Matt Hardy to appear at the Impact in New York, City, which marks the first time that Matt has been inside a TNA ring in 3 years, and also look forward to the return of the six-sided ring. This was also the last time a match featuring Hardy was nationally televised. Together, Matt and Jeff Hardy are one of the most decorated tag teams of all time, and we are excited to see what the duo has planned for New York City. But first, in the spoilers, you will see Jeff getting a title shot at the, yes, not Willow, Jeff Hardy as himself, as he will win a battle royal to gain that spot and face Lashley for a future title shot, probably in the New York City taping. And also the TNA website has a poll, just speaking about, asking fans what ring they want to see going forward, beginning with the next week's Thursday's tapings in New York City. Probably they'll use a hashtag. What they want to vote for the traditional ring or the six-sided ring to return. Voting ends this Thursday at midnight. No mistake. TNA President Dixie Carter invited Tommy Dreamer and his Horde of Hardcore to Thursdays this past week's Impact Television event in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And quote, I will hand you a live microphone and dare you to say those things to my face, as Carter wrote on Twitter.com/TNA Dixie. If you're wondering what the hell she is talking about, it stems from an angle at Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore independent event last weekend. Bully Ray was pulled from the show's main event so that he could appear at the Spike TV Awards show. And Dreamer cut a promo that night, blaming Dixie, but no, the fans did. I hope they have footage of promo on Impact, but they didn't, and aren't banking on the average viewer knowing what they were referring to. Johnny Mad Dog attended TNA Slammiversary in Arlington, Texas on 2 weeks ago and posted a live event report. He arrived 30 minutes prior to the doors opening. The wind was gusty and lines were long enough, mainly for latecomers at the box office. Stood around in the shade with others who got their tickets early off the arena site and reckoned the number of people in TNA gear was greater than the number of those in WWE gear, but not as much as those in non-wrestling related clothing. I shot the crap out of some fellow insider fans as the lines moved up. When the building opened, I speculated Dixie Carter might induct herself. If not her, then Mike Tenay or Jeremy Borash. There was a big surprise, no spoiler that was announced until the day and that happened. Would get the honors tonight, or even Bob Ryder, Don West, or Ken Shamrock, to name a few, among others that I thought would be. Figured Jeff Jarrett, AJ Styles were out for the time being. I heard speculation Raven, Abyss, or CM Punk would get inducted. One rumor I heard that they were considering holding Slammiversary here each year for a while. I'd support that, being Texas fans are starved yet rabid for any wrestling it can get. There was at least one person in one of Jeff Jarrett's GFW t-shirts. Speaking of shirts, I bought a t-shirt and a program for one of Jimmy J's boys. They must have made out like thieves while they were crowding around the kiosk. Security seemed friendlier and smarter than 2 years ago when I attended Slammiversary 10 here there at the event. That night was one of, if not their best pay-per-view ever, and tonight was well on par with it. All things considered, I got Impact Zone elevated seating off the side near the ringside, which was very nice, highly suggested. There were waiters for gourmet food and drink walking about, and wrestlers coming out to shake all of our hands and giving autographs and pictures throughout the show. The sign guy was there. That was Rick. And I was the first to be seen and get pictures taken with him. A fan with fans pool, Al Snow came out nearby to direct traffic. Hector Guerrero was great too, and took time with the fans. JB got great pops and chants, and did the pre-show routine, and the crowd ate it up. He introduced Mike today and Taz to great pops as well. The usual ECW chant started with the all ECW related talent visible to the audience throughout the night. If you want backstage passes at TNA shows, sit in front row on the camera facing far side. None 2 years ago off the camera side, and none again tonight in the IZ area. The arena was likely sold out. The Von Erich announcement did wonders from what seats they made available, but I think it was just a tad shy of the crowd 2 years ago. Most of the hard camera area was empty, at least for half of the show, as well as the scattered bits of the upper deck. The PA system sounded slightly better than 2 years ago, but barely. No one really sounded like themselves live, but JB and James Storms, it seemed. I knew the X Division title match would start off the show with the ladder set up already, but I hoped it wouldn't. It should be more than a curtain raiser, but given its current state, it makes sense that it did its job well. The Psycho Dwarfesque midget is new, and a well-received touch. There seemed to be something amiss the stilt people. They must be talking about the Nux entourage. I'm not sure how it came across on the camera, if it did at all. It looked like one of them took a spill and had trouble getting back up to the side of the stage prior to the menagerie coming out. The crowd ate up every spot and favored Crazy Steve throughout the match. I saw a sign suggesting a future member of the Bullet Club. The crowd, including yours truly, is primed for another Samoa Joe title run and have been for 5 years, and shows of no signs of giving up on the hope. Maybe it will happen against MVP at Battle for Glory this year, assuming MVP is healthy. I see him winning at Destination X, as there should be a chase for more than 2 months. So I don't see him waiting for HJ or EY to lose it. But he did at the pay-per-view. No, he didn't. He didn't do it at the pay-per-view. Well, during the match, Dux and Rebel came out to shake our hands and give everyone that came out props, as they seemed to shake everyone's hands that were seated in our area at ringside. They took pictures and gave autographs as well. Some fans were more prepared for that than others. After the initial interview with Dixie Carter in the press box, fans in my area at least continually glanced at it throughout the night and would wave to her and wave back at her. Well, it was such a nice touch. It didn't really take much away from the action. Jeff Hardy came out to a big pop. Of course, Willow. Everyone did on this show. Even Janice, the nail 2x4 that Abyss comes out with, got a big one as well. Everyone seemed pleasantly surprised by the Team 3D induction into the Hall of Fame. Good for them, picking deserving individuals WWE hasn't inducted yet, and yet still not 2 predicted picks. It means the more obvious choices will still be somewhat of a surprise since they're inducted later than the first few. I saw a sign saying the TNA Hall of Fame should consist of the originals. During the Austin Aries versus Kenny King match, the Wolves came out to our area. I got to shake their hands and get their autographs on my ticket. That was awesome. My future teammates, the Dallas Cowboys, got a good pop when they were announced by JAB. It was a mixed reaction, but I'd be willing to say a mostly positive one, but I don't know how it came across on camera. DJZ and Jesse Gutters dissed the Dallas Mavericks boys and the Von Erichs prior to the match. Von Erichs, especially Kevin, got the pop of the night. The crowd was batshit nonstop went completely apeshit when the Iron Claw was applied by Kevin on Zima Ion on the Romance, as Ross and Marshall are a tad green, but I think they pulled off a good match and have great potential. The Knockouts division continues to draw ovations and ratings. A good reason, and tonight was no exception. Gail Kim and the Beautiful People worked hard and put on a decent match for their time allotted. We saw Gail's husband, Robert Revon, earlier in the crowd near us. People, at least near me, were shocked by the comments of my brother Ray. Seeing Devon go was like instant foreshadowing to insider fans. There was a Terry Funk chant. The Brother Ray versus EC3 match was a decent contest at the crowd and spots, particularly Dixie and Spud antics. That crotch wide, followed by the hit with a kendo stick, made it into a great time. There was a Tony Romo chant. Of course, he wasn't there. Trash Can got a good mixed reaction, and Grater and Glass did too. The table spots and uncovering of the ring got bigger ones, though from its reaction, the match needed more cowbells. One could think someone got shot with the way the involvement of the Cowboys came across live. The crowd ate it up. Later, they sat behind us. Hope this comes to Sports Center. I haven't seen anything yet from Sports Center in 2 weeks. I nailed it when I figured Lashley would go through the cage somehow. I remember this one match on WWE's version of ECW a few years ago and figured they'd tap into that scenario in some form. The Eric Young versus Aries versus Lashley match was great. Face versus wild card versus heel was the way to go. With that transpired, the crowd definitely favored EY and was happy he won. But like 2 years ago, there was a lot of Austin Aries fans here, and they won over. Like they were louder for him than Joe 2 years ago. He won over EY there. All in all, a great show, and definitely think about holding Slammiversary somewhere in Texas. Maybe on a rotating schedule of cities. If Arlington isn't doable each year, they opt to doing something similar to what WWE does with SummerSlam. I'd like to be a wrestler, and there's no wrestling at least in North Texas and very little in the South and Central regions. If they could open a performance center or someone like Sting or Taker or Kevin Von Erich would open a school that's well known, it'd be great. Texas loves its wrestling, but there's a definite lack of dominant, popular indie promotion in the state like Jersey, New York, Florida, and California all have an abundance of promotions. I highly suggest the IZ seating, as TNA sure does, put its fans first. Here's hoping this was a morale booster and business booster for TNA and pro wrestling in general. The Cowboy players who were there were George Selvey, Ben Bass, Nick Hayden, Tyrone Crawford, Cedar Rayford, and Martez Wilson. After the show, no return dates were given, but Sonata came out during the Storm versus Anderson match. Anderson came out as the show was ending to take time with the fans. He persists because he chooses to and because TNA is very fan friendly. A few dozen fans lined up by the loading dock to see the wrestlers off and yell stuff like 2 years ago. Tommy Dreamer was there working as an agent behind the scenes as he left in front of everyone. So either the Dixie comments were reconciled or the Angle and House of Hardcore will be at an upcoming taping. There were ECW chants throughout this process. They didn't have their tour bus they used the last time that they were here that I saw. Instead, everyone hit their own carpools. Some fans said that they'd see them at their hotels. I said, please come back, and that I'm a future co-worker. We let MVP know who won the NBA Finals as well. Jeff Hardy gave a cackle and signed some stuff and posed for the fans before leaving with his family. After Dixie left, everyone headed out. Former TNA Knockout Taeler Hendrix revealed on Twitter that she performed as one of Adam Rose's rosebuds on this past Monday Night Raw, or on SmackDown. She didn't say which one. Back in early June on WWE TV, apparently 2 of her model friends were also in the group with her. Former ECW heavyweight champion Masato Tanaka underwent emergency eye surgery this week and is expected back in action in a few weeks. Happy birthday goes to former WWE Hall of Famer. Not former Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer Coco Beware, turned 57 years old on June the 20th. Results for Impact. A video recap the TNA Championship picture at Slammiversary. MVP and crew made their ring entrance. The crowd chanted that MVP couldn't wrestle, and MVP said it was true because he was hurt. He transitioned to the storyline and said Dixie Carter got the board of directors to issue him an official reprimand. He said he was ordered to give a fair main event at Slammiversary, which he did, but he didn't really think it was fair. He said he wasn't going to let a stuffed shirt tell him to run his show again, and tonight he was going to be an unfiltered MVP. So he told Eric Young to bring his ass out. EY came to the ramp and said he was on a roll. MVP accused EY and Austin Aries of colluding together to keep Bobby Lashley from getting a fair chance for the title. As EY said, he didn't have any patience and was coming to the ring to beat MVP's ass right now. MVP said he was hurt, and EY knew it. Kenny King took the mic and yelled that he was going to beat EY for the title right now. MVP snatched the mic away back, looked at King, and he called out Earl Hebner out. And he went to the ring. Well, the first matchup was Eric Young versus Kenny King with MVP and Bobby Lashley in the corner for the TNA title. EY started fast and the crowd was hot for him. King dumped EY to the floor and MVP and Lashley closed in on him. Aries, Samoa Joe, and the Wolves came out and acted like a human shield. Back in the ring, King started stringing together some offense, but EY hooked a small package out of nowhere for the win. And EY won, retained the title in 3 minutes 43 seconds. Video showed MVP roughing up the timekeeper during the commercial break and coming back from the break because he rang the bell when King obviously kicked out. I didn't see no kicked out. EY and company ran out and attacked MVP's crew. Security ran out and they all brawled. MVP and the crew finally made it back to the ring. And MVP said his kindness was over. He said EY would defend the title against Lashley later on the night. And security would escort every person out of the building until only King and MVP were left. MVP tried to book the tag title match and tag titles in the match, but got flustered. He finally booked the Wolves, defending a triple threat match against the team of Samoa Joe and Austin Aries and a third team he didn't even announce. MVP demanded Earl Hebner come to the ring as he did. MVP threatened to slap him, but the people would write letters about MVP slapping a senior citizen. He fired Hebner instead and told him to take his shirt off. Brian Hebner ran out and tried to defend his dad. MVP said if he had a heart, it might matter. He told Brian to step aside, which he did, and King snatched the ref shirt off of Hebner. MVP let Hebner speak. He also threatened to fire Brian Hebner as well. Hebner said he loved this business for 37 years, but guys like MVP make him hate it. So he loved the fans. MVP said maybe they would take up a collection for his bills and told Hebner to leave. He screamed for his music to play. And that was it. Backstage, Dixie and EC3 walked up. Dixie said she has no comment on MVP as he was backing up everything she said to the board. She put over EC3's win at Slammiversary, and he did the same. She said she flew in Helga for a message for him, and EC3 went to get his rub down. Commercial break. Samoa Joe and Aries made their entrance as a video showed Hebner being escorted from the building. Backstage, EY complained about Hebner being fired. His phone rang and he told the person on the phone he needed him tonight. He hung the phone and let the phone face up. Cameraman showed it, and it was a phone call coming for Kurt Angle. The Wolves made their entrance. The third team was Willow and Abyss Mystery tag team for this event. The Wolves versus Samoa Joe and Austin Aries versus Willow and Abyss for the tag team championships. Willow and Aries started the match. Abyss and Joe ended up in the ring. They did a spot where Joe and Aries each had submissions on, and the Wolves broke it up. The Wolves teased a dive on Joe and Aries, but Joe and Aries outsmarted them and hit the dive instead. It was poorly done. Tommy Dreamer was shown arriving going into the commercial break. There was only about 1 minute in the last quarter after the break. The Wolves worked in control of Aries. Joe and Abyss ended up with hot tags and took everyone else out. Somehow Willow got the tag and dove backwards off the top rope, similar to Adam Rose. He didn't do no flip, he just fell backwards off the top rope onto the Wolves and Joe. And Aries in a crazy spot. Willow went for the swanton of Davey. Davey inside the ring. Davey got the knees up and he grabbed Willow for the combination backbreaker and the pinfall. And the match took 13 minutes and 3 seconds. Backstage, King then asked MVP why he was worried about Angle. MVP said Angle was a gold medalist. King said he would take care of him. MVP mocked him and said their plan would come to fruition tonight, and they couldn't let anyone stop them. He mentioned Angle's hurt knee, and they stopped to think about it. The NL team ran through the setup of Tommy Dreamer's appearance. They showed some of the tweets, but they were small and hard to read. Dixie and Spud headed toward the ring for Tommy Dreamer's live mic as they go to commercial. The video recapped all of MVP's storyline from tonight. Joe and Aries were shown being escorted from the building. The Wolves walked up on MVP, and MVP told them they weren't being escorted out yet. He said they were going to defend the titles against Bram and Magnus. The Wolves told them to be careful what he wished for. Wait, what? Dixie and Spud made their entrance. Dixie said EC3 destroyed Bully Ray so much he wasn't even here tonight. He told Bully she would never go through a table, and everybody was going to learn she knew how to run the company. She transitioned to Tommy Dreamer, but acted like she didn't know his name and had Spud fill her in. She called Dreamer out. He came to the ring to a great pop. Dixie said Dreamer has been slandering her on social media, and she was giving him this forum to apologize for what he had said. Dreamer said they had always gotten along personally, but what he had to say was business. He talked about how they met, and Dixie no-sold it. Dreamer said he put hardcore justice together and had a bunch of guys from ECW for closure. But she did it all for the fans. Dreamer said he sits at home and is embarrassed to be a professional wrestler when he watches TNA now. He said, like many other people, he wanted to see Dixie succeed because they were men and women on her payroll who deserve it. He said it had become the Dixie show now and pointed out she wasn't a wrestler. Dreamer started to ramble a little and said he had given up until he saw her pop for Kevin Von Erich at Slammiversary with her family. He told her to do the right thing and to listen to the fans. Dixie embraced Dreamer and nodded. Then she kneed him in the nuts. She asked for if he knew who she was. Mocking Bully Ray, EC3 ran out and beat up Dreamer a little bit before the Hills left him laid out. Kurt Angle arrived backstage to King and Lashley holding pipe. He said he was there to talk to MVP, and King went to get him. Angle looked Lashley up and down and said, "Nice pipe." Angle was backstage with more security as MVP walked up. He told Angle to sit tight, and Angle agreed. Angle said, "His pipe is bigger than yours." King was upset, but something happened to the audio and didn't hear what he said. Angle was proud of himself. Match number 3, the Wolves versus Bram and Magnus for the TNA Tag Team Championship. Eddie took the quick heat and got the hot tag to Davey. Davey set up a drop kick on Magnus that also had Magnus DDT Bram. Eddie set up the finisher, but Bram ran in and threw a chair at him to cause a disqualification. And the Wolves retained the titles at 4 minutes 18 seconds. The English Types beat down the Wolves with chairs afterwards. They set up Davey with a chair around the throat. But Willow and Abyss made the save backstage. MVP walked on Baby Hebner and mocked him for crying about Earl getting fired. MVP told Brian that if he wanted to continue to be paid, he would count 1, 2, 3, honey. Why? And Tara Terrell was shown backstage. And she's lost the baby weight. Well, she just had a baby about a month ago. Commercial break. And Bram and Magnus were asked about walking away from the fight, and Magnus said they were paid to do a different job. Beat up the Wolves. Willow flew in to them, and he and Abyss beat them down until they escaped. Gail Kim introduced Terrell. Kim cut a promo about not liking Terrell when she came into the company, but she earned her respect, and when they went to war, they hugged, and Terrell got a good welcome back chant. Terrell said she took the time off to have a baby, and it meant a lot for her to respect her. She pointed out that they were tied in their feud, so they should have another match to settle who was the best. Beautiful people interrupted, and Angelina cut a promo on Kim. She reminded Kim she beat her at Slammiversary, so that meant her opinion didn't matter. She stopped and said that she needed to formally introduce herself to Terrell and kicked her. Beautiful people teamed up on Kim, but Taryn recovered and helped Kim fight them off. Backstage, MVP talked to Angle, and Angle asked MVP what he was doing, if he was doing the right thing. MVP laughed and asked if Angle was really trying to stop him with some Dr. Phil mumbo jumbo. He threatened Kurt with getting hurt and told him to either get with him or get out of the building. King got in Angle's face, and Angle dropped him with one shot. He turned to Lashley and asked him what he was going to do. Lashley just looked at him, and Angle finally walked off. I was saying that's what I thought myself. And then Kim and Taeler were being thrown out of the building. Jeremy Boras that was there said that there was nobody left backstage. MVP walked up and said, yeah, there was. He said, even you. JB looked at him and said he couldn't find anyone. MVP said he was still there as security. Tossed JB out. MVP told the cameraman even to put the camera down and leave. Well, if everybody's going to throw out the building, who's going to film the rest of Impact? Well, he just put the camera down and cut to back to the arena. Lashley made his ring entrance with MVP and King. Chrissy Hemme introduced them. Well, Chrissy Hemme wasn't thrown out of the building, so that's where everybody was not thrown out of the building. Then I left Taz and Tenay to call the show again, call the match, and we got to see. I guess only the backstage cameraman got ejected. EY was out next. Eric Young versus Bobby Lashley with MVP and Kenny King in the corner for TNA Championship. EY hit a crossbody on the floor very quickly, and he tried again in the ring. Lashley caught him and hit a follow-away slam, commercial break. EY took some more heat from Lashley during the commercial break, and Lashley set up for the Dominator. EY escaped and hit the pile driver. He covered, but Kenny King pulled the ref from the ring before he could count the fall. EY pulled King up on the apron. He went to hit him, but King ducked and grabbed EY. Must not be a disqualification match. An ODQ match must be. Lashley charged, but hit King instead. EY dropped Lashley and went to the top rope for the elbow. Lashley rolled out of the way and hit Spear for the win. The match took 9 minutes 11 seconds. And new champion. After the match, King put EY's arm into a chair and started stomping on it as Lashley went to the floor. Bobby Roode came running through the crowd and scared off MVP. He tossed Kenny King out of the ring, and King ran back in and tried to attack, and then got tossed again. Lashley tried to jump in a few times, but Roode kept him at bay as MVP tried to figure out what was going on as Impact ended. New champion for the time being. TNA taped the June 26 Impact from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Also, spoilers thanks to Renda Smith. Tara Terrell and Gail Kim defeated Angela Love and Velvet Sky in that match that was advertised from the previous week. As Tara looked great in the ring. Sonata defeated Manic, Crazy Steve, and DJ Zima in a fatal four-way. MVP Kenny King and Bobby Lashley came out to talk about Lashley winning the World Heavyweight title. Then they're interrupted by Eric Young and Bobby Roode. MVP fires them, but a man representing the TNA Board of Directors comes out and tells MVP he can't fire nobody because he's been stripped of the Director of Wrestling Operations title. Next match was James Storm defeating Mr. Anderson with the last call. Dixie Carter came out and brags about being TNA's Director of Wrestling Operations again. Again, the Board of Directors' respective representative came back out and informs her she isn't director. Dixie throws a fit and demands to know who the new director is, but he won't tell her. Bully Ray interrupts her and threatens Dixie. He goes him and also threatens Dixie. He goes to put her to a table. The fans chant for it as Rockstar's buddy Ethan Carter makes a save to save Dixie from going through the table. Backstage segment with Tommy Dreamer and Ethan Carter brawling. Magnus and Bram defeated Willow and Abyss in a Monsters Ball match. Kurt Angle is revealed as the new Director of Wrestling Operations for TNA. MVP Lashley and Kenny King come back out and surround Angle. Eric Young and Bobby Roode make the save, clearing the ring. Impact ended it with Angle, Roode, and Young standing tall in the ring. For July 3rd, spoiler, thanks to WrestlingInc.com, Kurt Angle opened the show and announced Eric Young's rematch for tonight. Samoa Joe comes out and says he's booking himself in a title match. Angle says Angle and Joe go back and forth. Angle teases giving Joe a title shot. The Wolves defeated Nux and Crazy Steve in a match. Bobby Roode defeated Kenny King after challenging him. Earl Hebner's back reinstated in TNA by Kurt Angle. Then there's a segment where Madison Rayne and Brittany got back together momentarily. Brittany ended up turning on Madison, but the crowd cheered for her instead of giving her the heel treatment. Ethan Carter III defeated Bully Ray in a tables match when Rhino returned and speared Bully for the win. Gunner came out for a promo but was interrupted by Samuel Shaw. Sam talks about how he's changed, but then he's then interrupted by Mr. Anderson and Chrissy Hemme. And Shaw apologizes for how he acted towards Chrissy in the past. Gail Kim then defeated Angelina Love to become the new Knockouts champion. Bobby Lashley defeated Eric Young with a spear for the main event. So Eric Young lost his automatic rematch. July 10th spoilers. Kurt Angle opened the show and announced several big matches for tonight, including a 20-man battle royal to determine who gets the title shot against Bobby Lashley in New York City. Angle calls out Willow and wants him to work as Jeff Hardy in the battle royal. Fans chanted for Hardy. The Wolves defeated Magnus and Bram. Austin Aries defeated Sonata to become the new X Division champion. Bobby Roode calls MVP to the ring and gets attacked by Kenny King. Eric Young makes a save, but Bobby Lashley is out next. Lashley, King, and MVP get the upper hand. This was similar to the segment they did the night before, apparently. But Bully Ray calls Rhino to the ring and name drops Paul Heyman. He also mentioned Rhino's running WWE. Rhino comes out and attacks Bully, but Tommy Dreamer makes a save. Gail Kim retained her title over Madison Rayne. Angelina Love and Brittany in a fatal four-way dance. And the 20-man battle royal was the main event. The winner gets a title shot against Bobby Lashley in New York City tapings. Jeff Hardy worked as himself instead of Willow and won. The match came down to him and Eric Young. Hardy will face Lashley in the New York City tapings for the 17th of July. Well, that's the end of my results, and thanks again for the peace out. God bless. See you what will be you. Well, if you didn't know, you better call me, bro. Come on, keep it up. Keep it off. Hey!